Welcome to Hoops Adjacent. I don't know where David Aldridge is. He's running the street somewhere, probably doing something important. But it's all good because I got a couple of my homies to join me today. I got first off the incomparable Z Nikita, who is just a superstar. If you don't know who she is, get ready because first off, she's 60 years old and she looks like she's 22.
Thank you so much.
She is you from PD Pablo hood, right?
I sure am, North Carolina. Come on
and raise up. Yeah, I'm with you. Hoop head, baller, former Yale basketball player. You were nice, right? Now
I would like to say that my coach said that my coach after a game said, y'all are ballers. Y'all are ballers with an A. You think you're ballers. I was like, thanks, coach. I never use that again. And I'll never forget that. Anytime somebody says I'm a baller, I'm like, apparently, according to my Yale coach, I'm
You're
a
not
baller.
a baller. I thought that was better. Like
me too. I was like, that was what was ironic. And we were all sitting there trying to hold back our laughter. Like, ma'am, it actually has more street cred to have an A at the end, but go ahead.
Facts.
Yeah, I feel you. We have another baller too. He still hoops. Zena, you still hoop or you cook?
I haven't in a while. I've gone shooting,
like
but I
me.
haven't hooped.
Yeah, that ain't hooping. That ain't hooping. Yeah, you cook like me. This one is not cooked. He's still out there in these streets. Still got pickup runs going. We got the James Edwards the third, our Detroit. I don't even like to call you a Detroit Pistons writer, man. You're an NBA writer.
Thank you.
Who is, if he's not internationally known, he should be. James is so good. He's covering the worst team in basketball, and people still read him. That's all you need to know about James Edwards. He's so good that he's hustling to get to Pistons practice, even though the Pistons players are not. Clearly, judging by what's happening on the court. But before we get into that,
just really quick, that's the nicest thing you ever said to me. We talk on the phone once a week, and it took you till this. At least I appreciate it. I just want to be you one day.
I mean, I could say what I tell you in person, but I don't know if you want that.
I know. I thought you were actually going to go there, but you stopped. So
nah. You know what I'm saying? The streets is watching. You feel me? So we got to keep it. We got to keep it good. I know. Y'all were riveted and just engulfed in season tournament basketball, right? What you know about them Pacers, James Edwards? Can you believe this Tyler Halliburton show?
Can I go on an in-season tournament rant?
Oh, here we go. This is what
allowed. Go ahead.
Listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not like one of those like we're all programmed, whatever. But the NBA's programming of this event is like they called in all the higher ups that like focus on this. Like, listen, people acting like the game last night was more competitive because it was the in-season tournament. Like, we got to stop that. I think it's bad product for the NBA. The NBA regular season, there are good games every night. They're just not on TNT. You guys, the Clippers Warriors was a pretty playoff-like atmosphere 2 days ago. Dallas going on a 30-0 run and still losing 2 nights ago was still very entertaining. Like, I'm just naming 2 games in the last 48 hours. To act like the league needs this for guys and teams to play hard to me is just like it's bad for the product.
Well, see, that's the part I agree with you, but I agree with you that this is a mispresentation because to me they're making it about playing hard or not when the reality is there are great games. Nobody's watching them, right?
That's the issue. Is the Pacers should be on TV more.
Absolutely.
If it takes the in-season tournament for that, I guess it's a good idea.
But why brand it as now they're playing hard? Like, man, people are playing hard all over the league. That's
it's psychological. It's psychological. They're playing into the minds of the people that are watching and being like, oh, there's an added benefit. There's an added incentive. This is another thing. They've just unlocked. They're smart. They've done the work to be like, oh, people aren't tuning in because they don't feel like there's anything at stake. You know what it reminds me of? When you go to arenas and you see these people that paid thousands of dollars for their lower level court seats fighting over $2 t-shirts.
I love that.
You know what I mean? Like they're literally jumping over people, jumping over kids, over t-shirts. It's the same thing. These games are still entertaining, but there's something about the competition about it that makes them go, you know what? Let me tune in. Let me be riled up over this. So I mean,
they're taking off their
it.
shirts for that. They're like dancing for t-shirts. It's even worse than that. They're like embarrassing their family lineage, right? Just to get like the t-shirt. It's the same t-shirt that came for free, by the way. That's on the back of the seat.
Correct.
Right?
But that's the crazy part.
First 1,000 fans in the door.
Right.
That's the psychology of it, y'all. It's the psychology.
And that's what I was trying to get to. The programming. It's like I will put good money on it that if that game was just shown to Bally Sports Indianapolis, it would have still been a good game because they're two good teams. I watched the Pacers bench lose their mind when they ran away from the Pistons in the final 6 minutes 2 weeks ago. Like, it's not. We got to stop. Like, and the league has done a good job of like asking players and coaches not to like dismiss it. And I think it is very calculated. If you ask any coach or any player about it, you hear like a very corporate response, I think. But at the end of the day, man, there's good basketball every single night. And I think it's a disservice to the league to one, act like there's not, and two, to not have teams like the Pacers on. Like, there's no way that should have been Tyrus TNT game. Like, that's just absurd. It's just, he's one of the best 7 players in the league right now.
Nah, see, I mean, you speaking as a dude who like go play from 1 to 3 p.m. at the local gym. From the business perspective, though, isn't like, don't you? I mean, the bottom line is people were not. You feel me? Like, you got to do something. So if in that sense, you could take something that was already there and repackage it. If you can put a little bit, some new eyelashes on it, right?
Oh, I get that part.
Contour the nose, right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's the same thing, Zena, ain't it? It's basically like.
That's what I was thinking. So I will say, James, yesterday when they interviewed Ty Halliburton right after the game, and they asked like if this is the most important performance, like it was something like that. But he was like, "Yeah, this performance was incredibly important for the in-season tournament," and it was like, "Okay, like this is just the regular season, So I agree with you on that point. But exactly what Marcus is saying, particularly from a business perspective, if you know you have a good product, and the people that cover the NBA, the people within the NBA, the players within the NBA, they all know they have a good product. But the problem is when you chop up the way that people consume this, right? Mm-hmm. Over networks, over streaming, over cable, over everything. And it's hard for people to focus their attention on one event every night. Make them believe that if they miss this, they've messed up. And that's what they really did. Like, they put the eyelashes. I like the way you put it, because I do appreciate some lashes. But that's exactly right.
James was saying they going too far, like some of y'all do with them eyelashes. That's what James.
No.
I mean, some of y'all be out here looking like Snuffleupagus. Like,
I just don't need 15-inch nails.
Zena is old enough to understand that. James, you a youngster.
The Snuffleupagus. That's crazy.
That's a real thing. And he's not lying, though. And I'm not going to comment on that. But there's enough Instagram videos out there to prove that point. But I don't know. I think that they needed to do something. And it's funny because the Athletic NBA show Zach Harper was on with Jay King and I can't remember who else. I think Westis. They talked about this. Like, these games are so entertaining. And the Indiana Pacers are probably the most entertaining team. They had their quarter season awards, and they said most entertaining team. But as a person that's out in the Bay watching and, obviously covering the Warriors and other people on the other coast, they're probably not paying attention as much. They might see that score and they're dropping 140 points a game, but they're not tuning in. They will tune in if they feel like something's on the line. And so I give kudos to the NBA because they needed to do something.
Can I just clarify real quick, Marcus? Because I agree with everything you guys are saying, and I love the packaging, the programming of it. My issue is getting on Twitter and everybody's like, the in-season tournament work. These guys are playing hard. I just find that hard.
Yeah.
And Pacers on a Monday night, if that was just Indiana Bally, that they wouldn't play hard. They're two good teams. And the Clippers Warriors the other night, playoff-like atmosphere. Dallas OKC. That's just my issue, is to act like
they aren't playing hard.
They're not playing hard. It's just not true. But I love that if this is how we can see Tyrese Halliburton on national TV, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Hey, so our producer is saying that I'm treading into dangerous territory talking about eyelashes. Hey, I got a 16-year-old daughter. I'm in the eyelash game. So you feel me? I know exactly what I'm talking about, and I was confirmed by
I'm
a black
snapping
woman.
over here.
I got pretty eyelashes. I've been told.
James, you do. You have great eyelashes.
Thank you.
James, are you buying the Pacers though? Like, is this a cute regular season thing, or is there something about them that's for real?
When you say for real, you mean like title contender? No, they're
like
not. They're bad defensively. It is bad defensively, but I think they're a fun, like those teams, like remind me of the Suns, like where it's like the perfect regular season. I look up and they only have 20 losses because they play fast, they catch teams running, they catch teams out of gas. But when you guys are in the Bay, you guys high level playoff basketball. That's fast play. It's playoff, and they cannot defend. Love Tyrese Halliburton, terrible defender. Buddy Hield, terrible defender. A very still 30th. The epitome of regular season basketball. There are teams that you'll see like routinely in a top 5 seed, but lose in the second round until they address the defense.
That's real. They're literally on the opposite ends of. Am I frozen? By the way,
I don't know. No, you're not. Marcus was. Marcus blinked twice.
Yeah, right. Blink twice of years. No, I agree with you. Like, you can't be that lopsided on being one of the best offensive teams and one of the worst defensive teams that will get exposed in a playoff atmosphere, and especially going and tiring your best players out. Like, I mean, we've seen Tyrese Halliburton keep it going for several games in a row, but in a series, when people get a chance to adjust to him and read his game and, properly scout him and scheme for him, you got to be able to play some defense, which was why I actually really liked the game last night. I mean, being able to keep the Celtics to what they had. I mean, I was very impressed that they actually played some defense. I was shocked that game.
Season tournament, man. They started playing hard.
Stop it.
They got to get to Vegas. Here's a question for you. How much of that $500K each player gets actually makes it out of Vegas?
Ooh.
Depending on the player. Let's see. 15 players?
Depends. All right, let's see. Yeah, who's in the finals is the question. If New Orleans and
7.5 million?
Don't let Zion walk out of Las Vegas with 500.
Man, that ain't nothing for Zion. No, that ain't nothing for Zion.
I would put Brandon Ingram in that category too, though.
Yeah, Brandon B.I.'s in that category. That's not leaving. Is there a Starlet in Vegas? That's not
ouch. Wow.
Terrible.
Wow.
Terrible.
I guess who's more likely to keep that money? I'm going
Pacers.
with CJ McCollum. He's gonna invest it into a winery or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's gonna do something responsible with his money, 80. Like that's
start a new line, start a new label. Yeah.
Start a new label.
No, that interview yesterday with Brandon Ingram was so funny. I don't think I knew he was quiet and I knew he was monotone, but literally he goes, they're like, "Are you excited about Vegas or like going to Vegas?" He's like, "Yeah, I really like Vegas. I'm really excited about Vegas." I was like, "Speak up."
I love B.I. too.
I never knew he spoke that low and that monotone. I was just like, I guess I didn't really pay attention. And he doesn't do that many interviews, but yeah.
The only time I see him turn up when the fight breaking out on the court, like that dude.
Oh, that's
like,
right.
He's
ready. Yeah,
he's one of those low key.
It's the quiet ones too,
guys. Yeah,
it's the quiet ones you gotta watch for.
Hey, so we got James here, Zena. We have to talk about some mortuary business here.
Fair.
What is up with these Pistons?
Listen, they're bad. I want to first get the elephant in the room out of the way. But this is what I think happened. And Marcus, me and you talked about this on the phone the other day. Started the season 2-1, and again, it's the start of the season, right? But like there was a little swagger to them. They were defending. They were 1-2 points away from being 3-0. They lose a game to Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is a great team, dominate them. But then they come back, are up 20 against Portland, and blow the game. And ever since that game, it's just not been this. I think this is what's happening. You lose 2-3 games in the NBA, it's like, okay. But then you look up, and you've lost 5, 6, 7. And it's like, oh, shit. Okay. And then now you're asking one of the youngest teams in the league who doesn't know how to win, who's never won at this level, to learn how to win in the midst of like basketball tragedy, right? Like Bojan Bogdanovic just came back. Alec Burks missed 8 games. Monty Morris hasn't played all year. They're 3 veterans, basically have not played very much this year. So it's Marvin Bagley's the oldest at like 24, 25. None of these guys have learned to win. And now you're like, it's in your head. Like, oh my gosh, when are we gonna win a game? They just blow games late. Like, I don't know, man. It's very like young guy stuff. Just fourth quarters, can't get the offense going, turn the ball, throw it into the stands. They had 8 turnovers in the first quarter versus the Knicks in a game they lost by 6. It's just stuff like that I just think they just need to grow up. And I think getting one win, I don't think they'll turn them into a good team, but getting one win will help, I think, ease some of the stress that they are going through as a young basketball team trying to dig out of this ridiculous hole. I mean, and Bogey being back. Bogey's a bucket. I think people don't realize that.
He spreads your offense, which gives Cade and Ivy, whenever he plays, an opportunity to create. But I mean, losing by 1, I think that's the thing. When we all saw the Pistons lose by 1 to the Miami Heat, we were like, oh, okay. And I feel like they,
No, we weren't.
I was.
Oh. Opening night. Eastern Conference champs at their house, and the Pistons making them sweat.
We knew it was all gas. We knew it was all gas.
No, I'm gonna stop you there because I am low key a Heat fan. I was in Miami for a portion of my career, and I do love their organization so much. And I really do like that team, and they play really well, and I think they play really great basketball. And when they lost by 1, I was like, oh shoot, like the youngins are about to figure this out, and it's gonna work. And what you've seen so far is, I feel like Cade is trying to do too much. I don't even think he's trying to do too much.
I think he has to
do too much. Right, exactly. Yeah. Like he's being forced to do too much. Your front court situation, like, God bless. I love James Wiseman. But after your main centers, Isaiah Stewart, who's actually like legit. He was good against the Warriors.
Jalen
Duren and Isaiah Stewart, once they come out, it's like the front court doesn't know what's happening, whether it's defensively, whether it's just rotations, guarding screens. Like they just don't know what to do in the back, in the back line of the defense. I was really sad to see them go on this skid. And I agree with you. When you're that young and you're coming into the NBA, I say this about everyone except Asar Thompson. He's different. But when you're that young,
Thompsons are different. You feel me? That's how we roll. Those Thompsons
something
from
in the bloodline.
Something
in the bloodline. I'm gonna tell you because we're gonna get into him. We're gonna talk about him. But I really do feel like they're in a space of maybe this is who we are. Do you feel like that sentiment is coming across from them?
Yeah. I think. Well, in a way, and I think you made great points. And I think also something that needs to be mentioned is Monty Williams still figuring the team out. Like, I think we're getting to a point now where
Monty Williams getting like $20 million a year. You better hurry up.
He ain't going nowhere. He got time. I think he's figuring things out. Like, I think we're going to start seeing if Duren. Well, first of all, I think Bogey's going to, now that he's back and he gets acclimated, he's going to start at the 4. They're going to have Stewart at the 5 and start him when they play bigger teams. So that front court rotation you're talking about is going to be kind of smoothed out. Sounds like they're going to start 3 guards with Ivy and Cade and Killian with Bogey. So it's like, it's starting to come together a little bit, but you got to win games. But to your point, Cade said it was perfect, and somebody needed to say it because up until the Toronto game, which was about now, I want to say like November 19th or something like that, and they got blasted in Toronto. Up until then, it was like, we're right there. Like if we turn the ball over 17 times instead of a horrendous 20 times, we win. If we stop fouling, we win. Like, we're right there. And then they lose by 30 or whatever in Toronto. And Cade, I'm like, you and Isaiah have been the guys tasked with like holding this group together. I'm like, what is the message at 10 straight losses at this point? He's like, we need to stop sugarcoating it. Like, we're bad. Like, he finally, somebody said it, like, we're bad. Not like, if we do this, we're okay. If we do that, we're okay. He's like, we're bad. And we need to figure out how not to be
bad.
But
not like bad meaning good, but like, not like Michael Jackson bad.
No, like we were able
to clarify that.
We stink.
Not like LL Cool J bad.
Yeah.
We talking about, all right, got you.
And since then, while they haven't won, of course, they've been in every game. And again, they just blow it in the fourth quarter. And I shouldn't say that because you guys play ball. Like, 8 turnovers in the first quarter against the Knicks cost you when you lose by 6 at the end, right?
Right.
Like, but it's just, They just got to clean things up, man. And I think they beat Memphis tomorrow. That's my call. I think they beat Memphis tomorrow.
You going out there? You going out on a limb?
Oh, I'm putting my neck on. I said the same thing when the Wizards came to town and they lost by 19 to the Wizards. So
look, here, James. Let me. You know this team better than anybody. So I want you to like make some clarifications here. So first things first, like we're just talking about Tyrese, who was in his 4th year, and we're seeing players, young players, like really make an impact and lift their teams. Like I think Cade is amazing. I still think he's incredibly talented. It's obviously former #1 pick. Like explain why Cade isn't doing that. Why isn't as good as he is? Why is he not saying, all right, I'm gonna at least get us to a team flirt with 500, right? Like,
yeah.
Explain that part.
So I think that's a great question. So I think one thing I want to point out is we all heard all the rumors out of USA Basketball that Cade was one of the 2 best players there.
Cooking.
Which involved Tyrese Halliburton. So obviously playing with other good players, Cade is able to kind of get his shit off, right? So there's that. 2, I think people who there's outside, I don't know how many people, Detroit has a lot of fans, but I don't know how many people that aren't Pistons fans don't pay attention. This is basically Cade's 2nd season. He only played 12 games last year. He was playing on one leg, basically. So now he's coming back. There's that part of it. There's 2, the Pistons needed to learn, is this guy a lead guard? And he struggled with turnovers since coming back. Like I think he's been a lot better the last few games, but I think he still leads the league in turnovers. So now they're using him more off ball. They're playing him with Killian, with Jaden Ivey, taking that pressure off of him. And I think just the big thing with Cade is like, you guys know because you guys know ball, but like there's this perception that #1 picks or whatever are supposed to come in like ready to go. And it's like, man, people take time. Like nobody's talking about that. Everybody was saying Wemby's our team savior. I think the Spurs still on a 14-game losing streak or something like that too. Like it takes time for some of these guys. And I think for Cade, it's like he's just figuring out what he can do. And listen, he's not like perfect. He's not the most athletic guy. He struggles around the rim. But I think playing with space is going to be helpful to him. And getting Bojan back is going to be huge. Playing alongside Ivy is going to be huge. I think you look at his last 3 games where they've played 2 or 3 guards. He's only had 1 turnover and he's putting up like 30 points. Like you're starting to see the process. And I just think at the end of the day, Tyrese Halliburton has a Buddy Hield, a Miles Turner, a Bruce Brown. Shea's played more seasons and he's propelled himself into MVP category last year. Like Cade's playing with guys that just he's got to like they're figuring out what Killian Hayes is, they're figuring out what Jaden Ivey is, Jalen Duren. Like these guys are young, and acts to do a lot. So listen, there's no really excuse for 2-18, and they shouldn't have one. But I think for Cade, like people that are like writing him off, I just think it's like disingenuous because the situation is unique and his personal situation. Like the guy, this is his 2nd season. Like not everybody's comes into the league like LeBron, and I think that's the biggest misconception.
I'm going to go ahead and plug one of your pieces that you did on Cade Cunningham's shot, which I really I appreciate being able to learn about how people get their shots back after injury. I didn't experience, career-ending injury or anything like that, but I've just knowing the work that goes in, talking about him practicing for 2 days while sitting or 1 day for sitting and then 2 days while standing and off one leg and having to build his quad. You guys go read that. It's very, very interesting to learn the mechanics of how somebody like Cade can get his shot back. But I'm also curious about the people around him because Marcus Sasser is supposed to be a person that's supposed to spread the floor. Isaiah Livers is supposed to be someone that's supposed to spread the floor. And I'm curious if you think that their shot production is a result of just a mental thing because they're not in a good space right now, or is it more of an offensive scheme that they're not being set up for like great catch and shoot shots or being able to create for themselves and find their open, their opportunities?
No, that's a great question. And I think to some people early on, it looks like what you're saying, like the scheme itself is not setting itself up to 3-point shooting. But what I will say is, because again, I don't expect people to pay attention closely. like it's super close to where I'm going to say this. The Pistons came into the year with 5 legitimate floor spacers: Alec Burks, Joe Harris, Monte Morris, Bojan Bogdanovic, and Isaiah Livers. Isaiah Livers just made his debut last week. Right. Bojan just made his debut 2 days ago. Monte Morris hasn't played all year. Alec Burks has missed 9 games, and Joe Harris has missed the last 2 weeks with a shoulder sprain. So it's like, why I think, especially early on, you watched the Miami game, why I think they emphasized defense so much and it hurt the offense is because if they had a chance, they had no choice because they just had no floor spacing, right? Like their best shooter available for most of the year is Isaiah Stewart, who's just like shooting volume 3s for the first time in his life, and teams still really don't respect it. Jaden Ivey's is a streaky shooter, but can shoot it. So it's like, I know Pistons fans are listening. It's like, shut up about the injuries and excuses, but it's like, man, like this team has 5 guys missed the majority of the year that are all career 38% 3-point shooters or better. Like they can't be ignored. Yeah. Especially when you factor in that everybody else around them was asked to do this.
We sure can ignore it if it's not in the in-season tournament. We can definitely.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, those shots would have went in if they played in the in-season tournament.
If you paint the floor different, they would get buckets.
We would have seen a different Pistons team, a little bit more.
They would have cared. Here's what concerns me, right? Especially watching like Cade, because I agree with you on Cade. And the narrative can also be so tied to results, right?
Yeah.
Where it feels like he's failing because his team is failing. When if you watch him play, like the dude is good, right? But if you watch him play, you also start feeling sorry for Cade. Like, like this is pretty sad. So that makes me wonder, man, I'm so nervous about my cousin, from Oakland. Like where do we get? Like, no, he's got to go, right? Like we can't do this to him. Like he's got such a with Dre. Look, Draymond Green doesn't praise anybody,
no,
right? Like unless they absolutely deserve it. Yeah. He's more likely to say somebody is way overrated. Or it's like you go like, hey man, this dude is good. You're like, man, he ain't that good, and blah blah. Break it down. When Draymond praises somebody, it's usually because he's played against them and he's felt like, no, that's different. So for him to be like, yo, Ausar Thompson, like, this is crazy what he's doing. We need to talk about it more.
He went out of his way twice after the Pistons game and on Twitter.
Yeah. Right.
And this is like a 4-time MVP. Like, so I'm curious, like the thing that Draymond does is so valuable because it leads to winning, right? And you got Steph Curry next to you. So now it's amplified. See, you've watched this for years, right? What Draymond does matters so much because it leads to winning. What happens to Ausar if what he does that's so valuable and so important in this league never leads to winning, right? Do you get to build on it like that? That's why I'm worried about him. Maybe
that's fair. No, I think that's great. I think that's a great point. I think eventually it will, because I think eventually they'll get better players. Like they have no choice now at this point. Like whether it's a trade because they're not winning or next summer when they have $60 million in cap space, it's going to change. And I agree with you. Like Ausar, yes, what he does leads to winning, but when you have to start him and Cade and Killian and Stewart and Duren, it's like, okay, like nobody out here can shoot. Like I love Ausar as a person. I love watching him play. Like he's the sweetest kid, but like kid can't shoot right now. And that's why he's struggling. And he's still like, he's going to be a good secondary, tertiary option, like initiating offense. But right now he gets into traffic and he loses the ball. Like his handle is just not where it needs to be. Defensively, the hustle plays, the Draymond plays are there. He just doesn't have Steph and Clay next to him, right? So it's not amplified. But I think eventually as they figure this thing out and you see Cade play with more space, you see Ivy kind of get in the good graces of Williams and start playing more and have a bigger role. I certainly think like you're going to see Ausar shine even more, like it lead to winning eventually. Like this year, this year is kind of a wash at this point. It's what they do when they add when they go and spend money and what it looks like, because they love Ausar. Like Ausar will be, I think Ausar will be a Piston for a very long time.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, I feel like they're going to build around Cade and Ausar as their like franchise players. You know who else also loves Ausar Thompson is Chris Mullin. He never shuts up about Ausar Thompson. Even like, on NBC Sports Bay Area, they'll do the Around the NBA. He will talk about Asar Thompson doing things defensively that no one's doing at his age, particularly, but in general as well. So he's got quite a few future and current Hall of Famers. And me, I'm not a Hall of Famer, but I am a huge fan of Asar Thompson. And I read your article about how he values defense and that him and his brother value that over everything, right? More so, they think the typical adage, defense wins championships. And just like Marcus is saying, it's not winning much for him. From a team perspective, the only thing that I've seen them do consistently is run. Like run and dunk, be athletic, all the above. What is happening in their half court to you that is prohibiting them from being able to be effective defensively when they're as athletic and long and bouncy and active and young as they are? They should be getting deflections and steals daily and running the floor. And they're doing well, I think, at fast break points, but still not as much as you would think with a team that young.
No, that's a good point. I think it's two things. They turn the ball over a lot, so other teams are scoring easy points, and they're not able to get it out in transition on the other side. Secondly, they don't, for whatever reason, they don't force a lot of turnovers. I'm not really sure why that is.
It's positioning, man. That stuff is positioning.
Yeah.
Like you got to, even if you're an athlete, you got to be in the right spot.
And you would position too. A lot of young guys, that's probably their biggest. You guys watch James Wiseman. Like positioning is, young guys can't figure out where to be all the time.
Sure,
I mean, you see it now with Kuminga, right? With Jonathan Kuminga. Like, well, he's in a great position. He's gonna be good, but if he's not,
okay, same thing. But you think about Pajemski and you think about Moody. Half of that is hustle too. Like just
100%.
Throwing themselves at that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like when you've got eight of your roster right now is like in the last 2 drafts, that's where you got them, or they came from. Like it just doesn't make sense to me that they're that young and not as active or not as hustle oriented as you would imagine. Marcus, I have a question for you. Might be advice for James to look at, because you once covered the Warriors when they were not so great.
Correct.
And you saw the transition. Obviously, there were certain people that were drafted and brought in that were just recently celebrated. But as they went on this losing skid, what was it that made them flip and say, okay, like let me think, like just Steph Curry's first year, right? Without any of the other help. I mean, he had some legitimate people on that team, but what made them flip? What made them go, you know what? We're not as bad as this record would make us seem to be.
Steph's ankles got figured out. Like it was all Stephen Curry. It was all
even in his first year.
Even in his first year, it was all Stephen Curry. Like he was the dude that was different, where you could be like, oh, okay, because at first he was playing next to Monte.
Yeah,
and you'd be like, all right, he could play, but he wasn't like a franchise changer. But mostly because he was just Steph at the beginning was really like, I'm a point guard. See, James, back in the day, back when you were in like middle school, when me and Zena was running the streets, like it was, you had to either be a point guard, but a combo guard was bad. That was bad. Yeah. You need to be able to run point. You need to be a true point guard. That was not going to stuff. He wasn't a true point guard. So he was busy trying to prove, I'm a point guard. I can handle the point. He only averaged I think it took 3 or 4 threes his first season. Average 4 attempts from 3. But then Monte, they got trashed. Don Nelson was like, all right, Monte, step aside. This is Steph's team. And he had Mikey Moore and, just a bunch of dudes, a bunch of G Leaguers. And he was out there cooking. And that's when you were like, oh, this dude is different. Like, okay, he's different. And then they added Klay Thompson. But I guess if there was a turning point, it would be the trade when they traded Monte and got Bogut. It was like, all right, now they have a legitimate center. And now they have this point guard who's really good. But then his ankles were an issue. So he had to get his ankles together. That was different. But to me, first off, it was a disaster and it could have went awfully. And that's why I worry about it. It could have went awfully. And in the end, they ended up getting rid of just about everybody and starting with Steph, Draymond, Harrison Barnes, got Iguodala. The team Steph came in with, they got rid of everybody but Steph. That's why I'm curious about what do you do with these Pistons?
I think
it's also why it sounds like you want Cade
James
to
need to get out of there. Get out of there, James. Get out of there.
We're not doing this on a
Chill.
public forum. He's trying to bait me. No, he knows what he's doing. He's trying to bait me. I'm not taking it right now.
Good for you, James. Good for you.
There's one thing I wish I could do, or we all could do. Like if we could go in a time machine, I want to go back and watch those early Curry Warriors with the understanding of what he'd become. Like I think watching those first fascinating, like watching it in that light and watching everybody else's reaction. I don't know if it's making any sense. Like we know what he becomes, but the fans in the arena don't know. Like I would love to just like watch it with that light. Cause I mean, listen, I have the same birthday. That's why I shoot the way I like. It's in the stars. You feel me?
Fuck it, man.
Oaktown to Flint Town, like we're country cousins. MC Breed, you know what I mean?
Like ain't no future in your front.
Ain't no future in your front. We out here, baby. That's what we do. It's all in the stars.
Hey, Zane, I gotta get mine. You gotta get yours.
Hey. And shout out, who's the Warriors DJ?
DJ D Sharp.
DJ D, maybe.
Fire, because like every time we're in the Bay, like he don't just like play Eminem or Big Sean. Like he plays like Slum Village. He'll play like Danny Brown. Like he plays like
D Sharp is a real DJ.
He's
a
real
DJ. Yeah,
he's
like
nice.
He do this. Yeah, he do this.
Shout out to him. He's the best in the league. I'll give him that. Shout out to him.
So I want to follow up on this though, real quick, and I want to ask both you and Marcus this question. Listening to what you just said, there seems to be this potential parallel between Cade Cunningham and then what happened with Steph Curry.
Man, stop it.
I'm saying, like, I'm asking Marcus, I'm genuinely asking, do you think, not necessarily that Cade Cunningham will become Steph Curry, no, but I'm saying in terms of the trajectory of the team.
James, we're going to end up having our conversation on the pod. Like, we're going to have to bring this to the forefront because this is what we talk about, Zena, all the time.
But I'm curious, like, because if you get rid of everyone and you build around Cade, and
I say if you build around Cade and Asar like they did Steph and Clay, like I could see everybody else gone. Like there's a world where I could see them move everybody else at some point and keep Cade and Asar.
I'm even coming down to like, when you just mentioned it, Marcus, like Curry's ankles were an issue. Cade's shins, his legs were an issue, right? Like there's this corollary here that I'm like, this is interesting. Like looking at the early Warriors,
you're getting Pistons fans hype. I can hear.
I'm here for the reality. Pistons fans, I am your reality. Do not fall for the banana in the tailpipe. The truth is, this situation happens all over the league all the time. Everybody's got those one or two players, and if you just build around them, Steph was lightning in a bottle. It was a miracle. It does not happen. Banking on
players at USA camp.
A bad idea.
Top two players at USA camp.
I'm with Z.
Saying.
No,
talk that talk, Z. Let's go.
I believe they're incredible. I believe they're good. I'm just saying to take your franchise and bank it on. But what if we got the next step? Like no.
I got you.
Not saying that. No. I mean, I'm not saying that.
She's just saying that Pistons fans, there's hope.
You never know.
That's what I hear. You never know.
There's hope. All right, let's get some NDRE in here. Then we're talking about. I don't know. If I'm Cade, I might be like, "Hey, get me up out of here."
You're just trying to get me up out of here. That's what you're doing. You're trying to push Cade to leave, so I leave.
Nah, I feel like Cade is generational. I feel like he's still good. If they can do that, if they can get rid of all the stuff and start over with a better choreographed team. A better roster put together. I feel like they just got every athlete they can find. Be like, let's match them together. It's like, better roster. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's fair.
Go get some vets.
And I think AAU team that flies in from all over the country, never play together ever, but like they're just hella athletic and they were all the top in their regular high schools.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm with you guys. I mean, I understand it, and especially when, like I said, like. The things that make you line up functional have been out. I understand why people walk away thinking that it's like a bunch of things. I get it. But certainly, like, I don't think it's as bad as the record.
2-18. Stop it.
I got you.
No, here's the real problem. It's not that bad, right? The problem is what we're seeing in this league is young teams getting it done.
100%.
That's the problem. The problem isn't that you're looking at Orlando. You're looking at Oklahoma City,
Houston,
right? Like you don't have to be this bad, but Orlando is going to be a problem, right?
Yep.
And I think they might be
Orlando's
younger. I think they might be younger in aggregate than the Pistons. Like,
I think they are. Yes, I think they are.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City is definitely younger, right? Like, so.
Yes.
I mean, some of that is skewed by like some old dudes at the end of the be like
Right,
Alec
and
Burks is like 98 years old, but
yeah, Bogey's 34.
he's still a bucket. But yeah, he's still a bucket, but he's old. No, he's only 32. Jeez, Alec Burks is only 32. I feel like he's been in the league forever.
Yeah,
Alec is nice. Man.
Alec is nice.
Alec is a bucket, bro.
Yeah.
I love when you like get to like. I was always familiar with Alec Burks' game. Like I'm a hoop chunk, but when you get to cover a guy and you see it every night, like he's struggling right now. He's going through a little spell, but like when Burks is cooking,
does he
like
talk
you just have
still?
Alec is first of all he's the. I want to put this on record. Everybody does all this sneaker talk. Alec Burks is the best sneakerhead under PJ.
Better than PJ?
Under PJ. Under PJ.
Okay.
Alec Burks has heat galore. But yes, Alec will talk if it's just you and him. If it's a crowd, he's still short.
He's very cool. He just like, man, that dude would he would go out there and get buckets and be like, hey, yo, you just got a bucket. Like,
yeah. I told him that one day. I told him that in the locker room one day because like we have a good rapport when it's just like one-on-one. I'm like, Alec, I was like, can you talk? He's like, man, do I got to? I was like, well, then don't score 30. Like,
right.
Score 12.
He get them kind of buckets too. Like the way he get buckets and the way he go in them spurts, like, bruh, you gotta talk after that.
Getter. Yes.
Nah, like I'm out here. You cooking it like, nah, you gotta come on, man. You can't cook like that and then be
I need the recipe, please.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to AB, man. AB's a great dude.
Yeah, he will cook.
Great vet.
That dude is crazy. All right, James got to get to Pistons practice. Are you gonna beat the Pistons there, or what? Are you gonna be first one there, last one leave?
I actually might be. I might be. Y'all,
you're terrible.
I love y'all, man. This was fun.
We appreciate you.
We need to make this a pod. Us three.
Right, slow down.
And DA, us four.
Yeah, you're trying to bump my partner, the legend, the Hall of Famer. That's crazy.
I guess
James,
it's DA's.
We have to be humble, James. We have to take every invite.
You're right. Maybe me and Z do our own.
Now that I will listen to.
Maybe
I will 1,000% listen to that.
Figure something out.
Y'all are two of the smartest people I know. Now that I think about it, James be trying to act like he like, you know what I'm saying? James a low key like a nerd. Not even really low key. He's a nerd.
I can see that in your articles. I appreciate it. I respect it.
Listen, I don't know how to say what to say today. Yeah, I guess like we're all nerds. We write papers.
Thank you would be nice.
Right, bask in that. That's a compliment.
Shout out to Flint though. I got to shout out to 810.
What that mean? You can't have nerds because you from Flint? Come on, man.
No, you can have nerds. I'm just letting people know.
Yeah,
we out here.
Yeah, y'all got nerds. Y'all got nerds in Flint too. I understand. Y'all got the Kuzmas, but you also got the nerds.
Kuzma ain't a nerd?
That was a bar. I don't know.
I don't know. I think he's borderline.
Marcus, you can't out loud say that was a bar. You have to let someone else say that.
You gotta let somebody else. Yeah.
No, you don't, baby. You can acknowledge your own bars. Thanks for joining Hoops Adjacent. Maybe David Aldridge will be back next week. Maybe he'll still be gallivanting the nation doing his David Aldridge thing. I don't know, but
I think he's working on a story that I'm working on with him too.
Oh man,
coming soon.
We got the DA James double. Okay, all right, I'm with it.
Coming soon.
All right, leave that 5-star review, and if you do not leave the 5-star review, if you don't have the most positive thing to say about us, then keep it to yourself, you haters. Or we're gonna make you play for the Pistons.